Morning, Pete. Bit of bad news, obviously, to start off the year about Mack. And even before you'd spoken about his work off the ball and all that, it was just one of those very unfortunate incidents.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Disappointing for us to lose Mack for such a period of time. Obviously, there'll be a knock-on effect to the Irish campaign in the Six Nations, and most of all, disappointing for Mack. I think he was starting to find some form and some rhythm, having been a little bit stop-start since the World Cup. So, yeah, everyone loses out in that sense, and I think the fans will miss watching him play as well. So it's up to us to fill that gap, and obviously other players get a chance to step up. Oh. Sorry, I've just lost sound here. One sec.
Sorry, Mike, you were muted there.
That's me. Sorry. He's obviously a very bubbly character on and off the field. Have you spoken to him over the last couple of days, and what's he like?
Yeah, he is. No, he's not lost his sense of humour. Thankfully, he was in with us at the end of last week, so very much around the place, albeit in a sling. And as Stephen said, he's gone off for surgery today. So no, we've had lots of contact with him. It's obviously about trying to keep his spirits up, and the key thing is once you get this surgery and get those initial couple of days out the way, that you can start on that rehab campaign. So he's had a shoulder injury before, similar injury when he was at the Brumbies in Australia. So although that's unfortunate to have it twice, at the same time it means he's familiar with the surgical process, familiar with the rehab, and also that sort of length of time. So we'll support him through that as well.
How are you fixed now at scrum half? Do you have any contingency plans? Any eyes on a medical transfer, or guys that you think can do a job in there that wouldn't be scrum halves normally?
No, we've got decent depth around scrum half. Obviously, Michael McDonald's there, and has been having some really positive cameos off the bench. We've got young Matthew Devine in our academy as well, who's very highly thought of. He's been training full time with us since the start of pre-season, so he's ticking away. Thomas Farthing, under 19 scrum half in the academy as well. So, no, we're pretty comfy with the depth we've got there.
And last one from me, do you think now this can be a turning point in the season, the victory over Munster?
Yeah, look, I think it was a really important victory. I don't know if we needed a turning point in terms of how the whole season's gone, but certainly it was important to break that run of defeats. I think it gives everyone a huge amount of belief, and with the belief comes lots of energy. So we'll definitely need that over the next 2 weeks with the Champions Cup challenge, and it sets up the second half of the season nicely.
Hi, Pete, Aisling here from Off the Ball. How's things?
Hi, good, thanks, Aisling.
Good. When you lose a player like Mack Hansen, how does that affect the squad?
Well, I think there's an element that with the game we're in, unfortunately, all players are used to injuries at certain times, and there's always a bit of flux within the availability across the season. So I think guys are used to that. But I think when it's one of your top performers and one of your biggest names, obviously there's a greater disappointment because you know how important they are in terms of contributing on the field. And with Mack as well, it's not just performance. As we said, it's the energy and the spirit he brings to the group as well. So players are obviously sympathetic to him, disappointed in terms of all those aspects, but at the same time, unfortunately, it is part of our sport, and with that, as I said, it gives opportunity for the next guy to step up, and for us, that's where the importance of getting cohesion across the squad in the way we train, and making sure we've got sufficient depth and guys that are ready to make that step up, and it gives an opportunity to someone else.
Yeah, that's it, and we wish him well. What is your thoughts on Connacht season so far? You had that great win over Munster, so I'm sure you're hoping to bring that momentum now.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's really important that we got that win. I think it was important to finish that first half of URC games on the front foot. I think it's really important in terms of our competition standing as well. It's felt a little bit, the first half of the season's felt a little bit like two chapters, I suppose. We had that, that really positive start, and so then since Bulls at Loftus, we found it harder going, albeit against some pretty tough teams. And so I think it's nice that we round it off with a win. It puts us in a position where we're probably on track, for finals football at the end of the season, as long as we get the results that we're expected to get against some of these teams in the second half. So all of that's on pause a little bit while we focus on two really big games against Lyon and Bristol, but we'll be really excited about that second half of the URC campaign when the time comes.
Yeah, and finally for me, it is a long season. Do you try to balance all competitions, or where is your focus?
Well, I think it depends on the week that it is, and depends on where we're sitting in each competition. You know, for us going into these Champions Cup games, you know, mathematically it's probably not must win against Lyon, but realistically I think it is in terms of how you expect the other games in the pool to go over, not just this week but the following week. So we've got to be realistic about that. And then you know, in terms of the season itself, you get into the second half of the URC, and really it's about winning every week. And you know, as much as squad rotation is important in terms of keeping bodies fresh and keeping guys motivated, you know, each one becomes incredibly important, the knock-on effect of where you are and chasing that top 8 position. So you know, we'll go after it in that manner, and as I said, there's loads to be really positive and excited about for us.
That's great. Thanks, Pete.
Hey, Pete, just a couple of quick ones. When is the surgery, do you know, for Mack?
Mack's having it today, actually, up in Dublin.
Okay. And again, excuse ignorance, right or left?
Right shoulder.
Okay. And after the game, we were unsure about the legality or otherwise of the clear-out. I mean, what did your investigations uncover subsequently?
We were surprised there wasn't at least further scrutiny on the clear-out, to be brutally honest. But if the sighting officer decides that it's not at least the discussion level of being a possible red card, then there's no further we can take it.
Yeah, not the only surprising aspect that wasn't further investigated. In terms of just following on from Ashling's question about, you know, chasing the two hares. I mean, this week going to Lyon, are you going kind of full bore to give it kind of a last go to stay in Europe, or are you already calculating? Well, listen, maybe top 8 should be the focus. I mean, how are you? Have you decided that yet, or is it still a kind of work in progress in your head?
We've got to treat the Lyon game as if it's a must-win for us. As I said, mathematically it might not be, but I think realistically, looking at the other fixtures this week and next week in our pool, you know, we need to win in Lyon, and we'll be treating it as such in terms of the preparation and also the selection. There's a few injuries in there that we'll have to manoeuvre around, and you know, also got to be really aware of some bodies who might have played an awful lot of minutes over the last couple of months. So you know, I don't think you ever have a perfectly settled first choice 15 or first 23 even, but we'll be we'll be going strong and certainly taking it, treating it as a must-win.
Hi Pete, good morning.
Morning, William.
I'm just wondering, you're talking about the sighting officer there. Is there a feeling around that in interprovincial games that sightings just don't happen? And I mean, Munster might feel the Byron Ralston situation. They were pretty vocal about that. But is that something that needs to be looked at? Because 2 players have come out of this game with their seasons really in tatters.
I don't agree that sightings don't happen. I think, you know, Byron Ralston was cited, and we had a hearing for him on Friday. So the URC are yet to announce the outcome of that. Can
I just point out that wasn't me? Well, I certainly wasn't aware of that there was a hearing. I know we're still waiting for the outcome.
Yeah, so
that doesn't help the question.
No, you're okay. So, but I take the point in terms of, you know, the attrition and particularly the fallout from this game. Look, so I think they do happen. I think. You know, it's a tough one in terms of knowing, you know, the personality and the viewpoint of different sighting officers that are at the game each week. You know, we don't tend to have any interaction with them until after the game if there is something for discussion. You know, referees you can develop a relationship with and understand their view of the game. So there's probably a better chance there. But no, in terms of the sighting process, it's not something that we really can have a great deal of impact on, other than raising a question if there is an incident. So, look, Interpros are notoriously physical and intense, and you know, the attrition tends to reflect that as well.
Looking forward to Saturday in Lyon. They're a side that they're not flying in the top 14. They were well beaten on Sunday, 45-0. Is this an opportunity to just go for it, see if you can get 5 points, and then set up Bristol, maybe in a shootout for a Challenge Cup place, or maybe 4th place still available?
Yeah, we're certainly targeting that 4th place, and as you said, you know, a home game to to finish the group. Although Bristol are obviously a terrifically strong team, I think for us to finish the whole pool stages with a home game is an opportunity. I think going to Lyon, as you said, they've had their struggles, and I thought Toulouse played particularly well against them on Sunday. I think they've had their issues there in the top 14. Obviously slipped to 13th place now, so there's an opportunity there. But at the same time, French teams at home, yourselves, they're a different proposition, and the way the fixtures play out for Lyon, I think they've got Perpignan at home. When the top 14 returns after the Champions Cup, that's a huge game for them in the context of their season. An away trip to Saracens the week before that, so I would expect them to come fully loaded and look to get a win against us at home. They'll want to do so in front of their home fans, and obviously get some confidence from that. Probably maybe deload and refresh against Saracens to then have a real crack at that Perpignan game. So I'm expecting Lyon to be full strength. I'm expecting them to be hungrier than ever and more determined than ever, and I think it'll be a mighty challenge. At the same time, for us, we play our best rugby when we go for it, and I think that means the confidence in our preparation in terms of how we want to play, make sure we use the ball really ambitiously, but also bring massive amount of physicality and energy. So, we know what brings the best version of us out there, and I think it'll take something pretty close to the best version of us to get the result this weekend. But I certainly think we can have a real go at it.